Hello YouTube, my name is Nero and today we have some Call of Duty Black Ops 3 and an update has come out for the PlayStation 4 version of Black Ops 3. This is actually a pretty major update. There's a lot of patch notes to cover, which of course we're going to be doing here in this video, but I do want to preface this entire thing by saying, at the time of me recording this video, and this could all change by the time the video actually goes live because of course it takes a while to record a video and edit it and render it and upload it. Right now this update is only available on the PlayStation 4, but I assume it's going to be coming to the Xbox One probably by tomorrow. Then of course the PC soon after, then of course last gen should be getting this update as well. But yes, there's a number of changes here. They changed around a lot of the weapons, a lot of the score streaks, the specialists, the attachments, everything, guys. If you guys like to follow along or read the patch notes for yourselves in their entirety, check the link at the very bottom of the video description. It'll take you over to support.activision.com and you guys can read the latest patch notes. Let's start things off here with the weapons. Whenever an update comes through, we always want to talk about the weapons first. Now, this is going to be starting with these submachine guns because the SMGs have gotten overhauled a little bit, and I wanted to kind of explain that for you guys here. So every submachine gun in Black Ops 3, they have made it so you no longer lose speed while aiming down sights and firing, which is pretty insane. So you're going to see a lot of these submachine guns actually have reduced aim down sight movement speed, but at the same time, they're making it so you can actually move faster, I suppose, while aiming down sights and firing. So it should even out in the end, I think. But yes, just know that going forward, that every single submachine gun in Black Ops 3, they've essentially reduced its ADS movement speed, but they've also made it so you no longer lose speed while aiming down sights and firing your weapon, so just keep that in mind. Let's start things off here with the Kuda. Once again, they had that update where they changed around the movement speed, but they also made it so you don't lose speed while ADSing and firing, but they've also reduced its one-shot kill range in hardcore, which is a bit of a nerf, but they've also made it so its laser sight is quote-unquote more in line with other submachine guns. Now, I've used the Kuda a bunch. It's like one of my top 3 weapons, but I don't use laser sight on it a ton. Could you guys let me know, like, was it worse for some reason? Was it better for some reason? Like, what exactly did they change about the laser sight? I honestly have no idea. If I recall correctly, maybe the hipfire spread, even when the laser sight was kind of big on the Kuda, I can't honestly remember. I typically don't use laser sight with mine, so let me know about that. But they changed around the laser sight, and they, of course, reduced its one-hit kill range in hardcore, which maybe that was warranted, because I've played a bit of hardcore team deathmatch, and I use the Kuda the majority of the time. And, yeah, it's pretty ridiculously good in hardcore, so maybe this is actually a pretty good update for that, making it so it's a little bit less OP in hardcore, but then again, it's hardcore, everything's OP. Moving on over to the VMP, it didn't really have many major updates. Again, it had that update where they changed around its movement speed, but they also made it so you no longer lose speed while ADSing, so just keep that in mind. The Weevil actually got a number of buffs, which is pretty good. They increased its ADS speed, they increased its sprint recovery speed, making it so you can pull up your sights a little bit faster after sprinting, and they've also increased its 5-shot kill range, which is going to make it a little bit more lethal. Not super lethal, right, by any stretch of the imagination. They didn't, take it to the moon or anything like that, but they made the Weevil a little bit better, which is good news for everybody. The Vesper, they have increased its sprint recovery speed and reduced its recoil a little bit, which is pretty interesting to me. Last time they touched it, they made it so it has a lot more recoil, and now they reduced that recoil a little bit, so that definitely seems to be pretty interesting. The Pharaoh, they've increased its ADS speed. The Razorback, they increased its 4-shot kill range, definitely a buff there. They've also reduced its one-shot kill range in hardcore. So for core players, so it gets more consistent 4-shot kills, and for hardcore players, it gets less consistent 1-shot kills. And the HG40, they've also increased its 3-shot kill range, so apparently they buffed it. I personally have no experience with that weapon because I haven't been lucky from supply drops. Boo! Moving on over to assault rifles. They've changed around 4 assault rifles with this update. The HVK30, they've increased its sprint recovery speed, and they've also increased its stability and reduced its recoil. So it kicks less, and you can pull up your sights a little bit faster after sprinting. The ICR, every update, guys, they reduced its recoil. How did they reduce its recoil? It has none. I don't understand that whatsoever. The Shiva, they've increased its ADS speed. They've also increased its flinch stability, and rapid fire apparently now functions properly, question mark? I don't know. I've never used rapid fire on the Shiva. I really have no idea. Was it not working properly? Apparently not. Was it good or bad? I have no idea. But Shiva got a little bit of a buff. It definitely is going to flinch a little bit less, which is going to help its semi-automatic rifle. And of course, it's going to have its ADS speed increase a little bit. And the MX Grand, they have increased increased its fire rate, and it now performs better with rapid fire. And just like the HG40 as a supply drop weapon, I have no experience with this thing whatsoever. I think I've gotten 10 kills with it in total just picking it up off the ground, but apparently its fire rate has been increased, and they've now made it so it performs better with rapid fire. Moving on over here to the shotguns. Now, this could be amazing, could be completely blah. I have no idea. Shotguns are weird whenever they update them. The KRM and the Argus, right? They have made it so they have increased one-hit kill range potential, and that sounds pretty awesome. So for the KRM, it's just in general, and for the Argus, it's only when it's hip firing, but they have quote-unquote increased one-hit kill range potential. And now, does this mean it's going to be getting more hit markers at a longer distance like the last time they updated shotguns? Or did they actually buff the shotguns, making it so they're both better? That definitely sounds interesting to me. I can't wait to try them out. And the Haymaker, they have increased its 3-shot kill range, and as somebody who recently got Dark Matter, I'll be making another video on that here in the near future. The Haymaker was not fun for me to get done. I just did not enjoy using it. It consistently would take 3 to 4 shots to kill, and they've actually made it so its 3-shot kill range has now been increased. Maybe that's going to make it a little bit better. If it is, that's probably good news for everybody, because the Haymaker was a pain to get through. The last up on the weapons updates, we're going to be looking at the light machine guns. The BRM, they have increased its ADS outspeed and reduced its recoil. So apparently, while you're going from a position of aiming down sights to a position of not aiming down sights, it's going to be a little bit faster, making it so, I suppose the way I picture it is they're going to make the weapon a little bit less clunky, I guess. The Dingo, this is definitely interesting to me. They have increased the tightness of its bullet spread while aiming down sights. They've also increased its hip fire accuracy. So one, was the Dingo inaccurate for some reason? Why would they need to, tighten the bullet spread while aiming down sights? But also, they increased its hip fire accuracy, which is actually great. I've been telling you guys for a little while now, when I use my Dingo, I use laser sight and gung ho on mine. I'm telling you, Dingo hip firing is amazing, and they've apparently made it even better, so that's definitely pretty good. The Gorgon, they've increased its ADS outspeed, they've increased its recoil stability, so it's going to kick a little bit less, I suppose, and they've also increased its damage through light cover, giving it a little bit more wall penetration. And the 48 Dredge, or the Mega M16 as I like to call it, they've increased its fire rate, but they've also increased its ADS outspeed, which is going to, kind of like the BRM, make it so when you go from a position of aiming down sights to a position of not aiming down sights, it's going to make that transition a little bit more quickly, which is a buff, all things considered. Now, while we talked about a lot of weapons here, they've also buffed a couple of attachments, right? So the laser sight as a whole has been buffed. They made it so it's actually going to be more efficient on everything that you can equip it to, which is pretty good. Laser sight's good stuff. They've also made it so the recon sight, the BOA sight, the thermal, and ballistic CPU, they've all increased the recoil stability of those attachments, making it so they're all just a little bit better, which is pretty good for everybody, I would say. So just buffs everywhere. Of course, there were a couple of nerfs here and there, but for the most part, a lot of weapons were actually buffed. Moving on over here to the specialists. So as a whole, specialist earn rate has been reduced in Hardpoint, which boo on that. As somebody who's trying to complete all the challenges for Hero Armor, I loved Hardpoint, especially Nuketown Hardpoint, where you run the overclock perk and you just get your specialist weapon or your specialist abilities ridiculously quickly. They have reduced the specialist earn rate in Hardpoint. Boo on that, if you ask me. The Reaper, which is my personal favorite specialist, they are continuing to nerf his weapon, the Scythe, the minigun death machine. So what they've done is they made it so while you're not aiming down sights with it, or at least, shall I say, when you're not zoomed in with it, because you can zoom in and out with it, and essentially it's always being hip fired though. They made it so it has less accuracy while it's unzoomed, so hip firing, quote unquote, is going to be less effective with the Scythe, but they've also reduced the ammo count from 120 down to 100. So even more of a nerf. They didn't originally start, I think, at 150, if I'm correct on that, right? Maybe I could be wrong on that, but they reduced its ammo count again and again. It's now down to 100, so that's a bit of a nerf there. Outrider has been buffed. They've actually increased a lot of things in regards to Outrider's Sparrow ability, or the bow weapon, as it's called. They've increased its first raise speed, which makes it so I guess it pulls out a little bit faster. They've increased its ADS speed. They've increased its sprint recovery speed. They've also made it so the bow actually has more ammo. It now has 10 shots as compared to 8, which it had previously. Spectre, they've actually given a little bit of a nerf. They've reduced the leftover power when killed while using Ripper, which that's the thing about Ripper. You can seemingly always have it. It's like a permanent panic knife because it just refills so quickly. Ruin, Nomad, and Reaper have all been buffed. All 3 of their actual abilities, not weapons, but abilities, have had their earn rate increased. Of course, we're talking about Overdrive, Rejack, and Psychosis respectively, and all of their earn rates have been increased, so you can actually get them a little bit quicker. Firebreak has been nerfed. They reduced the Heat Wave earn rate, and Battery has been nerfed. They reduced her kinetic armor earn rate as well. And aside from that, there's just a couple more things I want to point out. Scorestreaks, they buffed up the Rolling Thunder. They made it so there's more drones and there's going to be a faster entry speed on those drones when the Rolling Thunder comes out, so a bit of a buff there. And the Wrap Scorestreak has been buffed as well. They increased the drone count that's going to drop per deploy ship. They've also made it so that the speed of those drones is actually going to be increased by a little bit. And just as a side note, right, just as a side note, this is something that me personally, I know about, and I'm glad to see them actually change this. The tag and bag medal that you get while using Vision Pulse, which of course is the ability that you get while using Outrider, essentially use the Vision Pulse and you have to kill people very quickly after pinging them with Vision Pulse. It's actually really hard to get those medals for some reason. They've actually increased the window of time that you can actually get a tag and bag medal, which is fantastic. When I was actually doing the challenges and finishing up all the stuff to actually unlock the hero armor challenges, that was actually one of the hardest ones to get for me. You had to get double kills and get 2 tag and bag medals, which you wouldn't think would be very hard, but it really was. There's something buggy about that particular challenge. They made it so it has more time, which definitely sounds good, all things considered. And that is going to be the long and the short, ladies and gentlemen, of this update. Of course, they changed around some other things, like general bug fixes. They changed on a couple of things in zombies and stuff here and there. But for the most part, I want to point out all the things that are actually going to affect the gameplay in Black Ops 3. And I think I covered just about every single thing here. We had, of course, the weapons, we had the Scorestreaks, we had some of the attachments, we had the specialists, and I even gave you a side note for the tag and bag thing, which is, for me personally, it was a really annoying challenge to finish. They made it so it's a little bit easier to do. And yeah, it's definitely a pretty good update. Now, again, this is not out yet for the Xbox One or last gen or PC, but I assume it's going to be changing here in the near future. And it definitely seems to be a pretty cool update. I actually didn't see it coming. I thought they were just going to be like, hey, here's a preload for the Eclipse DLC, enjoy. But instead, they also gave us a bunch of other stuff with that update as well, which is definitely going to be pretty cool. They're changing around a lot of things. A lot of weapons got buffed, and only a couple of them were nerfed, and ways they were nerfed was not really that big. Reduced one-hit kill ranges and hardcore and things like that. So a lot more weapons are going to be a lot more viable. They're going to be a lot more powerful, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that's going to change the quote-unquote meta of the Black Ops 3 multiplayer. Well, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Drop me a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.